Ladies and gentlemen, from the depths of pre-solstice winter, the Kansas City with the team everyone loves to hate, welcome to another episode of Hittin the Bricks with Kathleen, the do-it-yourself genealogy podcast that features your questions and her answers. I am John, your humble hubby host, and today we'll be talking to Amy Johnson Crowe, certified genealogist, founder of Generations Connection, author of 31 Days to Better Genealogy, and, well, she's got so much going on, it's easier if we just talk to her. So, let's start hitting the bricks. Hey, baby. Yes, we're here with Amy Johnson Crowe. And Kathleen, you have known Amy for quite some time, I believe.
About 2008.
Yeah, so you guys have a little bit of history together.
Amy was one of the reasons that I'm in genealogy, actually. I don't even know if she knows that.
It was her. It was her. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. Now the interview is going to take a completely different turn. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
She was one of those real positive influences when I began. Remember, I started my company in 2008, A3 Genealogy. Amy was already doing stuff. What were you doing about that time frame, Amy? Were you with Ancestry?
Oh my gosh. I was doing my own thing. In 2008, I was, oh my gosh, that's like a lifetime and a half ago. I would have been completing my history degree, getting ready to start library school. And then it was after that I joined archives.com, and then they got bought out by Ancestry. So it was a little bit after that. So I had no idea that I was a positive influence on you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you were with archives.com, I thought it was really interesting because I wrote articles with them.
Yes, you did.
But again, I kind of would look to you to see what was a safe environment for me. So those kind of things helped me make a lot of my decisions in genealogy. And I was really impressed because if I remember right, you went to Kent State for library science, or
I did. Yeah.
And so did my mother. Okay. So that was but she took classes there.
Interesting.
In her library science.
Yeah.
That's a theme, isn't it?
It is.
It's a theme.
It's a
theme, yes.
Yeah, and in fact, when I started library school, what I thought my dream job would be the head of genealogy, local history in like a small to medium-sized public library. I thought that would be just the bee's knees. And life, kind of had other plans for me. I got my library degree, ended up working at a company called archives.com, and I was working on their content acquisition team. Then archives.com got bought out by Ancestry. And in part of that acquisition, I made the move from Archives over to Ancestry. And I was still on the archives.com team for a few months, and then they moved me over into social media.
Yeah, that's a transition.
Yeah, it was really more where my heart was because at the time, the social media angle at Ancestry was very much educational. And at heart, I'm a teacher. So being able to educate through social media, that was a really good experience in my career.
Kathleen, did you want to tie into that?
Like I said, to me, you were also really into the social media part, if I remember right.
Yeah, I've always been in social media. Now, my genealogy career started long before I was in library school. I started with just doing my own genealogy, would have been 1990 or 91. And then the mid-90s, I became certified. I was doing research professionally and was doing a lot of that. Was doing blogging. I was really involved in a lot of different societies, doing speaking engagements and whatnot. And it was then when my kids got a little bit older, it's like, you know what, I'm going to go back to school. And that's when I decided to do the library route, and that's how I ended up where I am.
So, John, Amy has a program that I totally support. And I was so excited to see it up on LinkedIn because I really...
Okay, wait a minute. Before we get into that, though. Before we get into that.
Okay.
So, Amy, can you tell us about your YouTube channel?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Is that something you currently do?
Yes.
Okay.
Not as often as I would like, but I'm getting revamped into it.
And
So,
what is that for?
The YouTube channel is, and it took me ages to come up with this name, Genealogy with Amy Johnson Crowe.
What?
Yeah, I know.
How would you expect anyone to follow that?
Right? I mean, it was just, it took ages and ages to come up with that title.
You
so.
were too funny. It's too funny.
Okay, so now, Kathleen, I will let you. Amy, this is the only time I can ever do anything like this. The rest of the time I'm yes ma'am, no ma'am, but when we get into the studio, I actually get a little bit of power, and I hardly know how to deal with it.
Just like go straight to your head.
It just I'm just complete.
And what's bad about this,
right away.
Amy?
Go ahead.
What's bad about this is he has no shame in saying things like that.
None.
Now, John, Amy also has a book. Why don't we first talk about the book, and then before we get
absolutely.
to the end product?
Yeah, so my book is 31 Days to Better Genealogy. It started, a long time ago, originally as just a email challenge, and people were like, hey, can you put this all together in one place? And I'm like, okay. So I did, and just like the title implies, it is 31 individual tips or tricks or resources that people can put into place right away in their genealogy. Because my whole thing with genealogy and research and helping people is to break it down. Definitely, we want to have good scholarship. We want to do things correctly. But I think we can also break it down into more manageable pieces. So that was what I did with the original 31 Days to Better Genealogy.
And is that book available?
It is. It's available on Amazon, both as an ebook and in paperback.
Fantastic. And 31 Days to Better Genealogy. I think I'm looking at a copy of it right behind you.
Back there. Yeah, and it's like, go research your family. Well, okay. What does that look like? We can do really good research from home at 2 a.m, wearing our pajamas and our pink bunny slippers, right? So,
I've got mine on right now.
Yeah. And it's almost like an embarrassment of riches. It's like, where do you even start? We still have people coming into genealogy as an interest. Unfortunately, when a loved one dies and they inherit all of, the stuff, it's like, okay, what am I going to do with this?
Right.
And we see people coming into it when they have a child or they have a grandchild. But we're also seeing a lot of people coming in because they saw an ad on TV for Ancestry DNA, and they take that DNA test and they get the results and are like, okay,
what now?
Now what? Exactly.
Right.
So there is so much out there that you really don't know where you need to be diving in first.
And so I think that's a really good lead in to the 52 ancestors in 52 weeks. Actionable
sure. Take
items.
my line. Sure, take my line. The one line I had prepared.
Baby, do you want to turn that around? You can say it, and I'll just edit me out.
Too late.
Is it too late?
My bubble is busted.
Well,
or bursted.
I'll be dining for one yet again.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, John.
But yeah, I think it is a good lead into the 52 ancestors in 52 weeks, I think. Kathleen, did you have a specific question, or Amy, do you want to just...
Kathleen looks like she has a question.
Well, with the 52 weeks, before you had the book, The 31 Days, is it the same kind of a format? And tell us a little bit more about the 52 weeks, I guess, and how people can sign up for it.
The whole idea with 52 ancestors in 52 weeks was, again, a way to make something more manageable and a little bit more accessible. Because when we think about writing and genealogy, we've been doing genealogy for a while, and we think, oh, I need to write about my ancestors. I need to write the genealogy. And too often our minds go to the book. I should write that book about my ancestors. Writing an entire book is a really overwhelming thought for a lot of people, myself included.
Absolutely.
So realizing that writing is a really important part of genealogy, not just for the preservation aspect of it, because you're taking what you have compiled, what you have found in your research, and you're putting it into something besides just having it in your genealogy software, but you're making it more accessible to others. So that really is kind of an act of preservation. But writing is also a good research tool, because a lot of times when you go to write something, you realize what you don't actually know. It's like, wait a minute, how do I know that these two people were married? And you don't think of those questions until you start to write. So several years ago, and I think this was back in either 2013 or 2014, that I did the first version of 52 Ancestors in 52 Weeks. And I did it mainly as a blogging challenge for myself. I said that I was going to do this, and it was one of those, hey, if I announce it publicly, then I will feel more accountable.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, everybody, I'm going to go to the gym every week. Yeah. If you ever hear me saying that, just ignore me, right? Yeah. But what I figured was, okay, if I write about one ancestor a week, that's 52 things. It's like, okay, that sounds manageable. So when I announced that I was going to do this, the response that I had from people was just overwhelming. They're like, wow, that's a great idea. Can I do that too? And I'm like, sure, come along, let's all do this. The first year I did it, it was very much just pick your own ancestor, pick whatever you want to write about, and it was everybody just sort of supporting each other in this, writing journey. Well, at the end of that year, there were people who said, it would be nice if there were some sort of prompt, if you would tell us what to write about. And I got to thinking about it because back in school, I was that kid who I was happy doing term papers about anything as long as I had a subject. It was when the teacher would say, oh, yeah, you need to write a 3-page paper on whatever you want. That's when I would freak out. Because it's like, I don't know what to write about. It was just way too many decisions to make. So I started issuing a weekly prompt. And the prompts, I have always made them very vague and open to interpretation, because I want the prompts to really be more of just sort of a tickle. So instead, I'll have a prompt like homestead. Maybe the word homestead makes you think about your ancestors who went out west and they actually had a homestead from the U.S. government. Or maybe you think about the house where it just seems like everybody in the family would congregate, maybe a grandparent's house or an aunt's house. But or maybe homestead is thinking about, well, where did my ancestors come from another country? So
it really is you're kind of generating the space to reflect.
Yes.
So the individuals turn the prompts into what really services them.
Exactly. I've also been very, very cautious about not calling this a blogging challenge. Mm-hmm. Because, a lot of people have absolutely zero interest in starting a blog. So I've always made this, even though I call it a writing challenge, I've had people participate in this who make videos. Some people make scrapbook pages. Some people will just do an audio recording. So the goal of it really is to either take our memories that we have, or to take what we have found in our research and get it out of that genealogy software, get it out of that family tree and do something with it. Because let's face it, a lot of us talk about wanting our family members to be interested in the family history. So what do? We give them a chart with a bunch of names on it. I don't know about you, but that doesn't seem like the most effective marketing ever. Like, hey, get excited about your family. Here's a whole list of people that you have no idea who they are. Have fun. So if we can take what we have found and write about it or make a video about it or make a scrapbook page about it and get it into some kind of format and maybe tell it more like a story than a high school term paper, then maybe that will help other people in the family feel more connected with what it is that we're finding in our research. So,
And John, that's one of the things I saw recently about someone who did a video. Is it something you posted recently?
Yeah, it was a lot of people, and there's no requirement to do this, but I do have a free Facebook group, and a lot of people do post links to what they're doing there. And it's always fun to see what people are doing and getting inspired from other people. But this one woman a few weeks ago, she made, and it was only like 3 minutes, but she put together this short video interviewing, I can't recall if it was her mom or her aunt, but they were talking about Christmas decorations. And how the woman who she was interviewing, she was talking about how her mother, when it came time for Christmas, it was like the entire house was transformed into this Christmas wonderland. You know, she would just decorate the house just to the nth degree. And she talked about a couple of special ornaments. And I just thought that was so cool because things like that are so easily lost. But she took 2.5, 3 minutes and recorded somebody's memories of this. And so that's what I really like about the 52 Ancestors in 52 Weeks, is making it flexible. It can be more current people. It can be yourself. And even though it's called 52 Ancestors in 52 Weeks, it doesn't even have to be an ancestor. It could be a cousin. It could be a neighbor. It could be a business partner. All those other people who fit into our family history in some way.
So, Amy, I'm assuming since this 2013 launch or 14 launch that you too have been participating.
In all honesty, I have not been doing this the last couple of years, but I am ready to say this in a public forum to be held accountable. I am going to do it next year.
Okay.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Well, I would imagine, the administration, it's one thing to do them, but it's another thing to actually help other people do them. Is that I would imagine a great deal of your time, because it's not your only endeavor.
It's not my only endeavor, but I tell you, this project, and in all honesty, when November rolls around, it's like, oh, am I going to do it again next year? And then I'll go into the Facebook group and I'll see everybody posting different things. It's like, yeah, I need to do this again next year. So it gets me really excited. But one thing that I'm doing a little differently in 2025. Now, I don't think we've mentioned that the 52 Ancestors in 52 Weeks program is completely free.
No, we didn't.
Yes, it is completely free.
That's very cool.
What happens is you get an email each week that has the prompt. I usually give a couple of sentences of, maybe some ideas of how you might want to approach the prompt. Sometimes I'll tell what I was thinking when I wrote the prompt. But of course, you're free to interpret it however. But just a little bit of extra assistance there if you need it. And then I also share the links for people who have posted publicly, and usually when they've posted in the Facebook group, I will include links to a couple of posts that people might really enjoy from the previous week. So that's all free. What I'm adding in 2025 is I was having requests from people like, let's go back to our prompt of homestead. Like, oh yeah, I've heard about my ancestors had a homestead, but I don't know how to find homestead records. I don't know what might be in them. I don't know how to approach them and all of that. So what I'm doing in 2025 is I've added an optional program called 52 Ancestors Plus, which is a paid program, but along with all of the prompts and the inspiration and all of that, I'll actually be sharing some research tips and some resources that tie in with that particular prompt. So it'll give a little bit more assistance on the research side of things.
On where they can dig in. And that's, I'm sure, particularly helpful for people who are, once again, just getting into it. Finding out that there's resources that are actually available.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yes, I'm excited about that. So,
Sure.
Yeah, that's fun.
Well, I want to make sure that we point out that the website is actually very easy to remember with Amy Johnson Crowe.
AmyJohnsonCrowe.com, and you can get directly to 52 Ancestors by going to AmyJohnsonCrowe.com/52 Ancestors.
And there you are.
What happens if I decide I can only do maybe 4 or 5 and then I have to take a long break? Am I kicked out of the group, Amy?
You know what? This is the most low stress challenge you will ever sign up for. There is no 52 Ancestors police. I'm not taking attendance. I'm not grading anybody. How you interpret the prompt, and even if you do that week's prompt, that's totally up to you. I'm just here to give the inspiration.
She really could participate by even reflection and talking and making a phone call. And that even though there's no output from that, is that the beginning steps a lot of times are connection.
Yeah.
And so if you make the phone call and connect with that uncle or aunt or whoever you haven't spoken with, then maybe the next year, maybe in 2026, maybe one of the nice things is you generate connection.
And I've heard from a lot of people who they're like, Amy, I know the way my brain works, 52 ancestors in 52 weeks sounds like a lot, but a lot of people have done 12 ancestors in 12 months. That they will take one of the prompts for that month and run with that. My whole thing, and people who are in my Facebook group probably get tired of hearing me say this, but literally anything you write, anything you record is more than what you had before.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I look at it as progress.
So, Amy, your Facebook group,
Yes.
I'm sure it doesn't say Amy Johnson Crowe in it. So what does it say?
The Facebook group is actually, I know, the Facebook group is actually called Generations Cafe.
Oh, it is Generations Cafe.
Yes, Generations Cafe, which was the name of my old podcast. Yeah.
Okay,
And
wonderful.
that Facebook group is open to everybody. You don't have to be in 52 Ancestors to be in the Facebook group.
So tell me this, your weekly emails, you mentioned that you give a little prompt. I don't know how you do a weekly email. I'm struggling doing a monthly, which is now moved to bi-monthly newsletter. So give me some pointers here, Amy.
So, because I actually have 2 weekly emails that go out every week. So I've got the 52 Ancestors email that goes out. And it's pretty straightforward with the 52 Ancestors email because I already have the prompt written. I have all of the 2025 prompts already written. I'm finalizing where they're going to go on the calendar, but the prompts are already written. My other email that I send every week is a more generalized newsletter. And that is a combination of things that I've posted on social media, maybe a new blog post that I've done or a new YouTube video that I've done talking about that. Or sometimes I'll talk about something that I've seen in genealogy news, of course, announcing new products and things like that. But that's my other weekly email, is just my general newsletter.
Now, Amy, I have my own theories every once in a while, and I like to test these out. But I have this theory that genealogists have an aversion to sleep. And that's why you're all either insomniacs or you just don't like the act of sleeping. And so that's why you are able to spend so much time doing newsletters and blogs and research and that sort of stuff. Am I right on that? Do you bother sleeping at all?
Sleep, it's highly overrated.
Yeah, I'm from the dog side, so Chewy and I are sleep advocates. So we're like, any chance you get, if you can nod off, it's been a good day.
Now, I will say that even though I joke about, sleep being overrated, my superpower is the 20-minute power nap.
Yeah, I did that, especially when I was working.
Was that at work or at home, John?
Well, yeah. Why would I waste my time after lunch at work working? I'd take my power nap. I'd be wide awake for the drive home, and then ready to play.
Yeah, so it was a safety measure.
Absolutely, it was a safety measure.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure your students like that, John.
Yeah.
So can I stalk you? Which I've always done anyways, at least as long as I've known you, I've stalked. I can just go in and peek around and look. And the other question I have, it's like, what have you done with your own write-ups and videos and so forth?
The first few years, I was posting them all on my blog. I have sent some to family members. For a while, my cousins and I had a private Facebook group that we've kind of let go by the wayside. Yeah, when I was doing a lot of my own writing for 52 Ancestors, I posted it mostly on my blog.
So it's permanent resource for you.
It is still a permanent resource. I will say this for anybody who's thinking about blogging. Make sure that you have a copy someplace other than your blog. So I would usually write it up like in Word or as a Google Doc and then copy it over to publish it on my blog. But just making sure that, because sometimes things happen and blogs go away, or, something happens to you and your administrator or whoever can't get into it. Just having it in a different format someplace else is a really good backup strategy. Yeah, you don't want to lose that. And something else that I did with just a couple of things that I wrote, I actually changed a little bit, made them a little bit more robust in terms of source citations and whatnot, and sent them on to a couple of genealogy societies so that they could be published in their newsletter.
Okay.
So,
I am really into that.
Yeah, so it's another way of preservation.
I remember me starting off.
Well, you started your
prompts.
blog actually started because of writing about your own. Yeah, you're basically doing prompts.
Yeah.
And I would write about my own family, but someone, Monday was funeral cemeteries and Tuesday was something else. But it was only a 5-day, and it was the same thing every week. So now, Amy, you're also still presenting. Tell us a little bit more about that.
I've actually cut back quite a bit on presenting. Most of my events here in the last couple of years have been virtual, which has actually been kind of nice because it's allowed me to present to organizations where I never would have been able to go in person, because I'm based in Ohio. And to speak to an organization in California for just their regular monthly meeting on a Tuesday night, that's not going to happen in person. But now that, more and more societies are used to using Zoom or, whatever streaming software they're using, they're still oftentimes bringing in a virtual speaker, which I think is really kind of cool. It gives more societies more options to bring in speakers economically and get different topics and different speakers than what they would be able to get if they had to have somebody there in person. So most of my topics now are very methodology based, thinking about finding female ancestors or getting more out of the records that you have. One of my most popular talks lately has been on using a research framework that I developed called the WANDER method. So WANDER is an acronym. So the W is what you want to find, analyze what you already have, note what is missing, discover new records, evaluate everything, and repeat as necessary.
Oh, don't tell me this. That's distillable. That's just distillable.
Soon to be a blog on genealogy.com.
It's like, and Amy Johnson Crowe does this.
Oh, I love a good acronym. What can I say? So that's actually been my most popular presentation over the last couple of years, has been on using the wander method and seeing how it fits in, because we get in that mindset of, I find a record, fill in the blanks, move on. And that's not really how research works. And when we get in that mindset of find the record, fill in the blanks, and move on, that's when we start getting really frustrated.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting because what Kathleen always talks about the curiosity that's necessary to do good research.
Yeah,
we just use the word, the wander.
Wander.
The wander method.
Wander method. So, John, first of all, I want to thank you for listening to me once or twice in our marriage of 30 years.
That was what I got out of it.
I was just so proud when you said, when Kathleen says, I'm like, oh my, he does listen.
He does listen.
So, but it is true that we can't implant a curiosity bug or a DNA marker called curiosity into people. So it is a tendency in general to just say dates and places and then keeps going to the next person. But as you started this podcast with Amy, that's not interesting.
Yeah.
To anyone. They want the stories. They want more.
If we're just saying, oh, I'm having a hard time finding them in the 1870 census, they're like, an 1870 what? You've already lost them. But if you can say, hey, I was doing some research the other day and I discovered that your great-grandfather, he was growing hemp. I tell you, that will be an icebreaker at your holiday party.
That is an excellent way to. Right, yeah, really, and it's a great way to end the podcast, John. Unless you have more questions.
I don't. I want to thank Amy very much. It was a pleasure meeting you, and thank you so much for spending the time with us. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're wonderful, Amy. So I want to bring up some other topics. John loves it when I say that.
That's not going to happen.
He normally just clicks me off.
Yeah.
John just cuts the mic.
Yeah.
Say, Kathleen, can't hear you.
Yeah, for some reason, these podcasts always end with Kathleen abruptly leaving the call. I don't understand
mid-word,
it. Mid-word, yeah. I don't understand it. She usually just, whoop, there she goes.
There she goes.
Okay.
I would love to be in the room as John is editing.
Well, congratulations. You made it to the end of another episode. Thanks so much for staying. Thanks to my Heritage and Legacy Family Tree webinars. Thanks to Amy Johnson Crowe for spending a little time with us. Thanks to Chewy Chewbacca Brandt, our part-time best boy in the whole wide world and full-time sourdough bread eating reason we have to have pet insurance for his unwavering lack of interest in anything we're doing. The theme song for Hittin the Bricks was written and performed by Tony Fistknuckle and the Marmot Tones. Watch for the next appearance in the parking lot wherever you recycle glass bottles. Our thanks to you, our wonderful listeners, for sending in your questions, tuning in, downloading, and otherwise giving us a reason to do what we do. From all of us at Hittin the Bricks with Kathleen to all of you, we wish you a gentle and kind holiday season. You know, you can find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Do you have a genealogy question for Kathleen? Drop us a line at hittinthebricks@gmail.com and let us know.